Hi, my name is Tiffany. I'm the dyer and maker behind Latah Valley Fiber Co. Thank you for joining me today. It's a warm 74 degrees here in Eastern Washington, so let's talk about all the knitwear. I'm so glad that you are all able to join me today. We have a few new subscribers, so welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. Today I have quite a bit to talk about, including some sweaters that I would like to cast on, some socks, as well as a surprise from my husband that I'm excited to show you all. So let's get started. First of all, you can find me on Instagram at Latah Valley Fiber Co. You can follow my shop on Etsy at latahvalleyfiberco.etsy.com, and if you want to direct message me, you can do that lvfiberco@gmail.com. And I only have one finished object this week, and it is a spinning project. I have a lot that I've been working on the last couple of weeks, and several things that I've cast on with other projects that I have been working with, but that's how it is sometimes. So this week my finished object is this handspun yarn. This yarn is, I spun it pretty thin and then I chain plied it. So the end result that I got was a worsted weight yarn, almost bulky. It is chain plied and there's 98 yards here. So that's actually almost a bulky. But when I did my wraps per inch, it was worsted weight. So this is a blend of alpaca and Shetland, which I blended on my carder. And I also dyed this yarn. I didn't dye the alpaca. The alpaca I left natural, which is why you see the white throughout the skein in a barber pulling effect. That's the alpaca. The blue I dyed with indigo in an indigo vat that my husband helped me put together. And so it's a very pretty blue. I can't remember how many times I dunked this in the vat. Maybe, I feel like it was at least 3 times. And it was in a braid of fiber. So I'm trying to remember, it's been a year. So I really should write things down because I don't have the memory anymore. But I feel like I had measured out 4 ounces and then I braided it and then I dipped it into the vat, lifted it out, it oxidized and became blue, and then I dipped it again. And I've read since then that you want to dip it but then hang it to dry before you dip it again. I didn't know that at the time, so I think I dipped it 3 times within like 10 minutes. So it probably would have become a darker blue if I'd allowed it to dry. But you know, when you're dealing with raw fleece, you kind of have to be careful because you don't want to felt it. So this is my one finished object, and I started this project. I went to a very first, for me, it was called a spin-in, and it was hosted by a guild, the Coeur d'Alene Guild. And I went and met some new friends, and I spun a whole bat of yarn. And then when I came home, the next 2 days or so, I chain plied it. So that was fun. I'll always remember that with this project. So that is my one and only spin project. I do have some stuff in acquisitions that I'm going to share with you that I bought at that spin-in. And I'm doing that in preparation for my daily vlogs during Vlogmas. I think I talked about it in my last episode that I was going to spin as well as open a daily package. So I found the yarn for that, but that's going to be later in acquisitions, and I can't wait to show you. So let's move on to works in progress. I have several, two of which you may have seen already. The first one is a pair of socks, and this pattern is the Hokey Pokey sock by Drops Design. And I have finished one of the socks and I'm working on the next one. In fact, I've turned the heel, so I just have to do the, and if you remember me talking last time about the heel being very, here, I'll hold it this way. The heel is very tight in through here as I did the color work pattern. So I made adjustments for the next, the other sock. In fact, you can see that I did zero color work on the heel. I just held the purple and I did the heel, and then I've picked up and started knitting the color work again. And this one I feel like the heel has a lot more give to it, whereas this one is so tight it just is snug around my heel when I tried it on. So I will probably block this sock just because of that problem. I don't want it to be too snug. So I do have a little bit of yarn left, so I should have plenty. I am using my own hand-dyed yarn. This is my 75-25 wool and then nylon in these two colors. So these I had used on a different project and I wanted to use it in another project, so didn't want it to go to waste. So these again are the Hokey Pokey socks, and I talked about the modifications that I made on a previous episode, so go and check that out if you'd like. But this is where I'm at currently. And these are fingering weight socks as well. Okay, so again, that's the Hokey Pokey socks by Drops Design. I also cast on another pair of socks. These are for my husband. And these ones are also a color work pattern. I guess I was bored. I knit that, the cardigan by Knitting McPurley, and it's just knitting and purling. It's the Potomac worsted. And so there's no, you know, it's pretty repetitious. So I wanted something that was a little more challenging. So I cast on another pair of color work socks. And again, these are for my husband. This is the Rhombus, Abstract Rhombus by Rosehiver. I'll post it here. And I did also make modifications on this pattern as well. It is cuff down. I don't like cuff down, and I prefer toe up. So I started with my normal toe, I increased, and then I just flipped the pattern. Nope, actually I didn't even do that. So the pattern's upside down from what they would like you to do. Oh well. That happens. I just now noticed that. Normally I would have flipped because it's a chart. So normally I would have, if I'm doing it the opposite of what the chart says or what the pattern says, I would have flipped it. But I didn't do that. Oh well. It looks fine. No one's going to notice. They're going to be in my husband's boots anyway. So another modification that I did, I did my normal heel, which is the short row heel, or the shadow wrap short row heel. And I had learned from my pair of socks that I didn't want to do the pattern. Oh, look how narrow that is. I didn't want to do the pattern on the heel. So I stopped it here, did my heel, and then picked it back up again when I started knitting in the round again. So another thing that I did was on the pattern, this front pattern, once you've done your heel, it starts wrapping around the whole of your leg. And I didn't do that. I just carried the bottom of the foot up the back of the leg. So I think it'll be fine. My husband will like it either way. So, yep, that's that. I have cast on the other one, and this is where I'm at with it. I've turned the heel, and another modification that I made is when I started to do the heel decreases, I added 2 stitches to either side because this was so tight because of the color work. I thought, oh, this is going to be, in fact, I might pull this out and just add the one color because you don't want to wear socks that are so tight in the heel you feel like your circulation has cut off. And that's what it feels like. So because of that, I added 4 stitches total. And then when I came back around and did the decrease, I just knit 2 together twice on either side. So I'm back to my normal stitches around. I will let you know next week, excuse me, I will let you know next week how that worked out for him. He has wider feet and his heel is pretty big. So I think that will work better for him in the long run, but I will let you know next week. And the yarn I am using is, I bought it at my local yarn shop, Paradise Fiber, last year before I had started my yarn business, my yarn dyeing business. And I believe, I didn't keep the tags. I believe it's Madeline Tosh Light maybe. It's their fingering weight. No, this is DK weight. So it's whatever their DK weight sock yarn is. That's what this is. Okay, is that it for my socks? Yes. Okay, so there's a couple more things that I cast on. If you remember in last episode, I talked about my friend is having a baby, and I found out this week that they are having a girl. So I wanted to knit them a baby blanket. So I went down to Joann Fabrics and I bought this yarn that it's Bernat, which many of you are familiar with. It's the Bernat blanket. This is the extra. There's one more that they have that's thicker than this. But I liked the colors in this option. So this is, it's acrylic. What is in here? Polyester. Yeah. So this color is just the neutral color. Does it have a colorway? It does, vintage white. The pink is this very light baby pink. And then I'm also going to add, oh, here's the tag for the pink. I'll tell you the color. It's probably blush or something. Blush pink. Yep. Okay. And then black. So this is black. Yep. So I'm going to knit. This is no pattern at all. I am just knitting a baby size blanket. So there you go. That's the purl side, which is the wrong side. This is the knit side. I don't know how wide this is going to end up being. I'll have to measure it once it's off these needles. My needles are not long enough, so it's kind of bunched on here. The needle size I'm using is 13, US 13, which is a 9mm. This actually, the requirement for this is a 17, US 17. Oh no, US, yeah, I'm reading it upside down. That's not helpful. It's a 12.75mm and a US 17. So I didn't have that big of a size. I had the 13. And actually I like the fabric a little bit better. It's more dense. And because babies can get their hands caught and stuff, I didn't want her to be able to stick, you know, she can stick her fingers through, but not her whole hand and arm. So I'm going to add black next to the pink. I think that'll be pretty. And then I should have started with this color. I'm going to put that down here at the pink. So it should be fun. I don't know my friend's colors yet, but I was so excited that I just wanted to cast on a baby blanket for them. So that's what I did. And this, the reason I'm not using my own hand-dyed yarn, I use wool yarn in my business. So that you can't, you know, it's a little easier for people who don't know how to care for wool to just have acrylic polyester. And it's easier cleaning. They can just throw it in the washer and dryer and have it cleaned. Whereas with wool, you have to be a little bit more careful with that. So I do, when I do baby blankets, I'll use the polyester every time. Okay, that's it for the baby blanket. The next one is a project for my mom. She contacted me. In my last episode, I showed the pink yarn that I had hand spun. And this is it here. So I had hand spun this. It's about a DK weight. And she wanted a scarf. So I thought, with this, using this yarn, but this is not enough to do a full scarf. So I also have this hand spun. This is alpaca and merino. Let me see. Yes. This is merino baby alpaca blend. It's 205 yards, DK to worsted. It's chain plied. Oh, I bought the fiber already blended from Paradise Fiber. It's their Eiger Gray. So if you're interested in that, I will link it below. I think it's a blend that they carry. Okay, so the pattern that I'm doing, it's by Yarn Twisters, and it is the Jill's Shawl is what it's called. And again, I'll link that all down below. Okay, so this is a 2-colored shawl, and I'll post a better picture here. you'll see that it kind of looks like an arrow shape. So what I'm doing is the gray that is in the shawl, I am also using the gray for that. And then for they have purple, I'm going to use this bright pink. And my mom wanted something that was going to be colorful in the winter. So I thought, oh, that would be perfect. This is what I have so far. And it kind of goes, so you start at the tip, the point, you cast on 3 stitches, and then you increase and increase and increase. And it kind of goes like this. So here's the point. And then I will have to block this because to straighten out the edges a little bit. But it basically goes like that. I am currently at the amount of stitches that I need to start adding in the pink. So that'll be exciting. Right now I'm just at the gray. And it's a really easy garter stitch. You're knitting every row, and you knit 2 together, and you do knit front and back. So it's really easy. It goes fast because this is DK weight, and it's just lovely. I'm really hoping my mom will like it. This is merino and baby alpaca. So it's pretty warm, and I'm hoping it's not too warm. We do get pretty cold weather here, but the thing with wool and alpaca is if it has a little bit of itch to it, you need to wear it when it's pretty cold, and then there's no itch at all. When it's a little warmer, the itch can feel scratchy. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but it'll look really good on her, I think. So that's the Jill's shawl. It's created by Lisa Overby for Yarn Twisters. And this was a free pattern. I found it on Pinterest. So I'll link all the information down below, but that's where I'm at now. And I really like it. It's big yarn. It knits up really fast. And I am following the pattern exactly as written. Actually, it may have called for 4.3, well, DK, yeah. Drops Sky 50 grams is what it called for in one color, 2 balls, and then the contrasting color, which would be this pink, is 1 ball. 15 stitches for 34 rows in garter. I did not swatch for this because scarves, I feel like there's enough wiggle room. It doesn't matter if it's an inch shorter or an inch wider. It's a scarf. It's supposed to just wrap around your neck, you know. Whereas if you're doing a sweater, you want to be a little bit more, you want to swatch for that. So that is my winter scarf for my mom, and it should be, I mean, it's cruising right along, so it should be done relatively good time. So that'll be ready for winter for her. Okay. Next, let's talk about future cast-ons. As you all know, I finished my cardigan, and in my last episode, I was talking about wanting to do a color work sweater. So I found one, and then in that process, I found 2 more additional sweaters. This is the color work one that I chose. It's called the Angus, and it's by Camilla Vad. And it is surprising how challenging it was to find a color work pattern that I was drawn to. I had originally liked the Birkin, but then I went to buy it and I'm like, do I like that? All the flowers and stuff. I feel like this one is pretty just basic. It's not too over the top. So the yarn for this, I am going to use my own hand-dyed yarn. And what am I doing with this? Oh yeah. Okay. I went back and forth. I have a lot of hand-dyed yarn, which is wonderful because then I get to use it. For the body, I want to use this gray tweed that I've dyed up. This colorway has not been very popular in my shop, and it's a gray tweed. This is alpaca, 35% alpaca, 35% merino. It has 15% Tessa silk and 15% Donegal tweed. So it is sport weight, which the Angus is, did I check this? 328 yards. So it's probably more fingering weight. So I'm going to have to figure that out. For this pattern, I was initially going to cast this on like this week, but I've decided that for this, there's a dark color that is the collar. So I'm going to dye up a really dark gray or black to do that. But then this, it's kind of a purpley brown. I want to use some hand spun. And so I'm going to spin some wool to create that. And I've decided to use this green. So this is 80% South American wool and 20% viscose, which is the tweed. So I thought if I used this gray tweed for the body of the sweater and then this tweed for the color work section. Now this would be the majority of the color work section. There is one other color besides the black, but it's just one little strip across. I don't know if you can see that. One little strip across in this little tiny circle looking motif. So that probably will be 50 grams. So I'll have to find something else that would go with this. But for the majority of the color, I want to use this green. I think it would be, see, look at that. That's pretty amazing. And I've been wanting green in my wardrobe for quite some time. So I saw this at the spin-in and I went, yep, that's gonna go for the color work. So I have to spin this now before I start. I could probably cast on. I'll dye up the dark gray and cast on because it looks like it's a pretty good 4 inches of that dark stuff, the dark color, before you go into this. So that gives me a little bit of time. So that is the plan for my Angus. And this is a yoked sweater. So you knit it in the round, and then once you've done all the color work, you bring it together and knit the body. So I've never knit a circular yoke before, so this will be my first time. Have you guys knit a circular yoke before? You'll have to tell me how it goes. I have heard a couple people say that when you're doing the circular yoke, you want to measure under your armpits and up over the top of your breasts instead of at your breast, because then if you do it at your widest part, you have all this other fabric up here that kind of collects and just looks chunky. So I am going to do that tip. I'm going to measure around my armpits and over the top, and then do the sweater based off of those measurements and see if that's going to be a good fit for me or not. So that is the plan for the Angus sweater. Okay, so in the process of buying this pattern, she was having a sale. Camilla Vad was having a sale. And I bought 2 additional patterns from her. And you'll recognize them. They are very popular patterns. Currently, actually. So, let's see. Let's do this one. This is the Field Sweater, also by Camilla Vad. And this one is... It's got this pretty little, what does she call that? It's like a grain. She calls it a grain. A grain, yeah, that comes down. And so this has, she actually uses cotton. I'm not going to do that for this one. If I enjoy knitting this up, I will knit one in the cotton. But she says cotton, Pima cotton, and Isager Echo Baby, which is 68% baby alpaca. It would pay to read ahead. Okay, so the Isager Echo Baby is 68% baby alpaca and 32% organic Pima cotton. So it's not 2 strands that you're holding together. I originally read that and that was wrong. So what I'm going to use for this is, again, my own hand-dyed yarn. And I think this is my colorway Purple Heaven. And this colorway is one that I like the depth of the purple, but it's not very popular in my shop. And so I thought, well, I'm going to use it and then I'll have a sample. See, people will see it on me and they'll be like, oh, can I get some of that? I don't know, maybe. I like purple. And I think this is dark enough, but has enough depth that you'll be able to see the grain pattern along the yoke. And again, this is a circular yoke, but it's not color work, it has a pattern. So I'm going to use this, and this is 100% wool. Yeah, 100% wool. It's DK weight. So I may have to adjust what the size is here. It doesn't say what size the yarn should be. 20 stitches by 28 rows. It does call for 0 to 15 centimeters positive ease. I'm using superwash, so it will naturally grow a little bit, sometimes a lot. In fact, I noticed that with my superwash worsted, for the Potomac worsted, is I ended up blocking the entire thing, and I was only trying to block around so that the cardigan would sit here, and it also stretched lengthwise. So it's a little bit longer than I really wanted it, but it'll be fine. So with this, it's going to block, or it's going to stretch a little bit. So I don't want the 15 centimeters built in. So yeah, there'll be some adjustments, but you guys can come along with me. How fun would that be? Quite the experience, I would say. Okay, The last Camilla Vad sweater everybody knows about. It is the Magnolia Bloom. And she has a lot of Magnolia sweaters. She has a cardigan. She has a bulky weight sweater that's called the Magnolia something or other, but the design is down on the bottom instead of over the yoke. So if you like this pattern, there's a lot of different varieties that you can get. I wanted the one with the pattern on the top. So I thought that would fit me the best. I have a little bit of weight around my waist, so this one has some positive ease built in, and I think it'll look great for my body style. So this is, I'm really excited for this one too. Okay, this one I'm going to use, I wear pink quite a bit, as you can tell. So I have this pink yarn, also from my own hand-dyed yarn. This is superwash as well, and it's DK weight. So it's this beautiful pink color, but this one, you add the mohair to it. So I have a couple options for mohair. I can add this, which you look at this and you go, whew, that is really bright. I don't know that I like that. But if you mix a bright colored mohair with another color that's a little bit more muted, you tone down the mohair. At least from what I've seen happen with other people. So I'm hoping that that works. I've had this in my stash for a bit. Can't remember why I bought it actually. This is a loft in the colorway Mirth, and it's by Knit Picks. So I can't remember why I bought it, but I found it the other day when I was looking for mohair. And so I thought, that would maybe look good too. We'll see. I will do a swatch for this one because I do want to see what kind of texture and color it ends up coming out with. And I may do this instead and for the field sweater, use something different for the field sweater. So we'll see. There are a few things that I want to check out on that. But yeah, so that's the Magnolia Bloom. Trying to decide on colorways. It's I've seen this pattern. Several people have done this pattern, and currently there's a gal. It's Jamie from Cozy Knits. No. Comfy Cozy Knits? No. Cozy Up Knits. Cozy Up Knits. They're in Canada. She is knitting this, I believe, in a green color. It's gorgeous. So I might do that too. I might dye up a special yarn just for that. I was hoping to use some of this older stuff that I had in my shop that hasn't sold in a while, you know, so I thought it would be good to use up some of that. So that was kind of my goal. I guess I could over dye this and dye it a dark green. That could be fun too. Okay, that is it for knitting plans for the future. So let me move this out of the way. Oh no, one more thing on that. I have in my shop these two different colors, Thor and then my Superpower colors. And this one is very much a steely gray, but this one, my Superpower, has a purple tinge to it. So I thought I could, oh see, yeah, that looks really good. I could pair that for the Magnolia Bloom. I might do that. That actually looks pretty stunning. So I might knit this up in a pattern or in a swatch and see what it looks like together. So, okay, that's it for that. Let's move on. I have a couple other things that I wanted to talk about. And in my last episode, there was a question about silk. I had done a spin of 100% silk yarn, and I talked about how it was slippery, and somebody recommended, thank you for doing that, that when spinning silk, you can spin from the fold, which means you take the fleece. I have some right here. This will be a very short demo. But you take, oop, I did that wrong. Okay, so spinning from the fold, normally you spin from the end here, like that. Well, spinning from the fold is you fold it over and you spin from here. Okay, so they had gotten that recommendation from somebody they had bought at a market, I believe. I may have that wrong. Yeah, so they'd gotten that recommendation somehow. And so she passed that information on to me because I had spun that silk and found it very challenging. It was so slick, and it would, so I had a lot of thick and thin spots in it. But then that brought up another question by somebody else that I didn't realize silk was even a thing in the wool world. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I have two bases that have silk in them, and I've already somewhat talked about them. This Tweedy base has Tussa silk in it, 15% Tussa silk. It also has the merino 35%, the alpaca 35%, and the 15% Donegal tweed. Most mohair has an element of silk in it. So my two bases, it's just, well, this one is Tussa silk and this one is just straight silk. I don't know what the difference is, but I could do a little bit of research and let you know. Okay, so mohair has mine that I carry in my shop is 70% kid mohair and 30% silk. So you can definitely tell. I don't know what mohair, kid mohair, feels like on its own. Actually, I think this might just be mohair. Let me look here. No, this also has silk in it. So this is 72% super kid mohair and 28% silk. Whereas the one I carry in my shop is 70-30. So it's a slightly different percentage, but very similar. And it feels the same. Yeah, I mean, feels silky. So yes, they do use silk in more fine materials like the mohair. I believe also Surrey silk has silk in it. I don't know what the percentage is there. I will look it up and maybe add it in here so that you guys will know. Yeah, so silk is used in conjunction with wool quite a lot. And I think it's a good addition because silk is super strong. In fact, a lot of people recommend that if you're using 100% wool for socks, to put in mohair with it will add strength and endurance, like nylon, but not nylon, because nylon is synthetic, whereas silk is natural. So there's a tip for you. Is that all I wanted to talk to you about silk? I think so. If you have more questions, list them down below and we'll chit chat about them. Okay. One last thing, and this is a big one. This is a surprise from my husband, who's been working hours in the shop making. Are you ready? Drum roll. What do you think? Do you know what these are? These are needle cases made out of 100% leather. And I was totally surprised. He apparently has wanted to get into leather working for quite some time. He was a farmer when I met him, so that's not completely surprising. But he bought some leather at the local leather store, and then he cut all the pieces. This isn't wax. It is a stain of some kind. He stained it all and put these little clasps on it. He hand stitched this entire thing all the way around. Here, let me open for you. So this is my DPN case. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. So this does have all my DPNs in it. And I just listed, let's see, smallest and went up like this to the largest. Oh, my fixed circular got stuck in there. So, yeah, and I do have my crochet hook in there as well. That's my crochet hook that I use to fix. But he designed this entire thing himself. So there's no pattern for it. He was testing out if this would work well for what he was thinking. And he handed it to me and I went, what is this? So yeah, he made these little pockets. He hand stitched all of this. Yeah, pretty amazing. And then these flaps are great so that they don't fall out. It doesn't cover these ones because these are a little shorter ones, but they don't fall out because they're in there pretty snug. Yeah, and then you close it up and snap. He did this little Made in America stamp on the bottom right there. So that was quite the surprise. He handed that to me all finished and lovely, and I was completely thrilled because I don't actually have any needle cases. They were just thrown into different bags and stuff like that. So then he decided, well, you also have circular needles, so let me make you a case for those. So here's the circular needle one. And this is for my, not my fixed circulars, interchangeable circulars. There you go. Oh, here, let me flip it around. So this is where your needles go. He hand stitched each one of those. And then this took him a little bit of time, he said, trying to figure out the pocket for all of your cords and things. So there you go. He came up with the design all on his own. It did take him a little bit to figure it out. The cords go in there. They fit pretty good. And then I also have you know, you need the little tool to tighten the needles on the cord. So those are in there as well. And so talking to him, I'm like, okay, well, this is great. Thank you. Do you want to make these to sell? So that is kind of what he was thinking originally. But he wanted to test out the pattern on me to see if this worked well enough for me, and kept everything nice and tidy. So I think it does. It's amazing. He's very gifted. Who knew? I knew a little bit, but this was like, it blew my mind, how gifted he is. I mean, I can't even stitch this straight hand stitching, and it's just amazing. I don't see a mistake at all on any of it. It's, yeah, I wish I was that gifted. But this also has a little stamp that says Made in America on it. So that's pretty fun. So those will be coming to the shop in limited quantities at some point. He's going to hand do them all. So one last thing that he came up with was a needle cozy. And these are used, I didn't realize, I was knitting for quite a while before I discovered these, and it's for DPNs so that you don't lose your stitches, and I'll show you. So when you have DPNs and they're just sitting around in your bag flopping around, sometimes they'll slide and you'll lose stitches. So a way to prevent that is to have, it's called a needle cozy, and you just stick your needles in like so, and then you use these snaps, and you snap and snap, and then it can flop around in your knitting bag all day long, and your project will not fall off the needles. So yeah, I actually sewed myself a couple needle cozies, but this leather is super stiff, you know, it's durable. Sometimes with my sewn ones, especially with my metal needles, they'll poke through, because fabric is just a knit fabric generally, and so it'll poke through on one side. So with the leather, no, it's not doing that at all. It's stiff. Look at this stitch. Wow, amazing. My husband is so gifted. And he stamped love on this one for me, so that was sweet of you. Thanks, honey. Yes, my gifted husband. So he's also going to do these, and they'll be coming to the shop at some point. Now, he does everything by hand, so we're contemplating, like, do you take orders and then do it, or do you make your limited amount and then sell them because you have them handy? So he's trying to figure that out. At some point they'll come to the shop. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. Yeah, so that's all I have for knitting, spinning, crafting in general. Oh no, that is not all. I need to talk about, I'm a little wonky today. I apologize. I wanted to talk about my spin project for Vlogmas. Now, I had talked about in my last episode about Vlogmas and opening an advent calendar every day. I bought the Nitty McPurley advent calendar, and that is, you open a package every day and it's a mini skein of yarn. I think it might be 20 grams. Can't quite remember. But I also wanted to do that with spinning. However, I'm a little bit more particular about my spinning. I don't like to open a mystery fleece and then go, oh, I don't really like that color, or I don't really like that blend of wool. So my plan was I would buy 1 or 2 braids and spin that a certain amount during Vlogmas. And you all can come along with me as I'm spinning it, and it would be a fun thing. And then at the end, it would need to be done by Christmas for a grand reveal. So that's kind of my goal. And so I picked these 2 skeins to do that with. Now, my thought is I haven't decided how to spin it yet. Isn't this beautiful? This wool is by Rusty Spur Ranch and Creations. It's a hand-dyed top. They're each 4 ounces. The fiber on both of them is 80% South American wool and 20% viscose. That's the Tweety bits in there. And then she's at rustyspurcreations.com. I'll put that all here. She's on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And she is actually local to me. I think she's in Coeur d'Alene somewhere. Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So that's fairly close. I haven't decided how I want to spin this. I'll probably do pretty thin, like maybe fingering weight, and then ply it back on itself for a 2-ply DK. That's kind of what I'm thinking for both of them. So, a little extra from something else. Another thing I could do is spin this, and then ply them together. Because there are some colors that are similar. You know. But these also have the muted green. I don't know. I really loved these, and I thought that'll be great for my spin project over Vlogmas. So I'm going to start Vlogmas on December 1st. Join me then for daily vlogs. I hope you are all well and enjoying the weather wherever you're at. Until next time, have a great day.